Dear Minecraft, you were never just a game to me. You were a still place that I could always find again. I found you after school, backpack on the floor, learning the comfort of placing one block and knowing it would stay forever. Then a year or two would pass, new worries, new roads, new names on my phone. But I'd find a weekend, a snowstorm, a long night, and open the same world again. Like turning a page I'd folded years before. College me added a new tower. First job me dug a new tunnel. And after a hard day, I'd plant a big field of wheat. Watch it grow, just because I needed something to do. Each return was small, not a grand homecoming. Just a quiet login, like an old friend. The lake is still there. The chests are still messy. The dog is still sitting right where I left him. I watched myself change in the edges of that world. Blocks played straighter, plans more thought out, less rushing and more finished projects. Sometimes I'd wander past an old build and remember who I was when I started it. So thank you for being there for every few seasons of my life, for letting me check in, take a breath, and see how far I'd come by the blocks that I had placed. All this to say, thanks. Hey, welcome to Forevercraft. Today, we're building a starter house. It's finally time to create a little place that we can call home here in the new area for Season 3. Right up there on the hill is where it's gonna live. I need this base to check a few boxes. It needs to have reasonable storage. I need space for, bed, for a bedroom. I need space for just some the basic craftings. And I think I'm actually going to detach my mine entrance. A lot of times I'll put the mine entrance right in my starter base. But I think I want to build a quarry build for this season. And I think it makes sense for the quarry to be the entrance to the mines. So anyway, just your good old-fashioned starter house, so we have a place to actually live that's not just a hole under a tree. I'm gonna keep the blocks mostly, achievable. It's a little bit of deep slate roof. It's got some spruce wood and some tough blocks. We need to get a little bit more tough probably down in the mines, and we need to go farm some spruce trees. I've been growing a couple big ones over here and chopping them down as I go, but I think it's gonna be a lot faster just to head over into the distance there in the spruce forest and collect some spruce. I have also started to kind of lightly enchant my stuff. As you can see, we've got an enchant set up. I murdered all those cows. We had this thing so full, they were almost entity cramming in the pens. So we've got enough steak probably for the rest of the season and enough leather to make all of our books. We're pretty sorted on food now, and we've got some basic tools. We still have iron stuff. Our armor's still all iron, but we're starting to get a little bit more set up, and it's time to build a house. Step one is getting all the materials, though, so let's get to work. Actually, really quickly before we get to work on the house, I think we're gonna go on our first side quest. I want an ender chest because I want a little bit more storage capacity. And we've got 3 ender pearls. We only need 1. So let's see if we can get a blaze rod. Our portal is right next to an actual fortress. Unfortunately, it's a super dangerous one. I've seen a lot of wither skeletons already at this place. But I'm hoping we can just sneak in there real quick. Let's put a shield on. All we have to do is kill 1 blaze so that we can create an eye of ender, and then we can have an ender chest, which gives us that much more storage. Actually, I kind of want 2 because we're going to want an ender chest in our base probably too, but here's that. I actually happen to know there's a villager in town that has the silk touch enchant, so we'll just throw that on a pickaxe so we can pick our ender chest up. And boom, we've got a backpack in Minecraft. All right, I'm not wearing any gold, but we shouldn't have to travel too much through this actual sketchy area. I think the best bet is to go up and over here. I really don't want to be too precarious here towards the edge, so let's give ourselves a nice wide path here so that we don't fall off into the abyss. It's almost certain death if we fall down. All right, there's our first buddy right there. That's not ideal. Can I eat while I'm holding a shield? Yeah, okay. All right. I don't think you can block fireballs. Where'd he go? All right. Anyway, I was going to say, I don't think you can block fireballs with a shield, is my guess. I don't know that I've ever actually tried, though, so maybe we should test that. We want to be a little bit careful here. I'm mostly afraid that we're going to run into some wither skeletons. We could try to snipe that blaze with a bow, but I'm worried that he's too far away. Man, it is dark with this shader. Let's see what the floor looks like here. I just need to get down to a lower elevation. We do have looting on our sword. We shouldn't have to fight. Oh, that's fine. Everything's fine. That's the guy that I'm dead. Oh, geez. Well, I'm glad we didn't have much of our stuff on us. Let's see. Well, we have nothing to lose now. Let's just make an iron sword and go on a death run. Why can't I make a sword? Oh, should we make armor? Probably a little bit. The iron farm has actually produced plenty of armor, or iron, I should say. I'm just honestly too lazy to run up there and grab it. What do we need? Can we survive with just this? Let's grab just like a little bit of steak. I don't want to throw away a whole bunch of steak trying to run and die at this thing, but oh, we need a pickaxe. That's a bit of a bummer because that was an efficiency fortune pickaxe we just lost. I believe, nope. Okay, thank God. Luckily I did think to store our fortune 3 pickaxe because I only want to use this thing when we find more diamonds, and we don't have mending or anything yet, so I've been keeping it in here. So that's a relief. Look at that, we got a chest right there. What are the odds there was a 1 block gap all the way down to certain doom there, you know? I feel like that's not even my fault, really. I will say this season, I have died more in the like initial part here than I think I ever have in Minecraft. For whatever reason, I am just not been MLG. Where were you guys a minute ago when I just needed a quick blaze? All right, never mind. We're not doing that. I guess I'll just have to wait. I thought for sure, I mean, it wasn't ideal to fall into lava and lose our looting sword. We probably would have gotten one, but I'm not going to just keep chaining deaths if they're not even going to drop the blaze rods. Let's go grab some iron, get some new gear, and then go start collecting some spruce wood. An absolute fail to start the episode, but at least it's a beautiful morning. And now it's time for step 2 in this process. We need to terraform ever so slightly so that we have room for this build on the hill. Right now, this knoll is kind of steep and the actual like flat usable area isn't huge. The actual house itself is like decent size, but I also want to be able to walk around the build and maybe have like, you know, little details like a well and maybe a little crop field or something. And right now that would be kind of difficult with the steep terrain all around it. So we're going to knock a few layers off this hill. I don't want to go down too far because I like that this is like a beautiful outlook over the area that we have so far. And I don't really want to mess that up. So we're going to knock this down a few tiers and then we'll start building. But first I need to make a whole bunch of shovels because after not playing the early game for a long time, you don't notice it, but iron shovels do not have a lot of durability. So even knocking off like 3 tiers of this dirt, I bet we'll go through like 10 shovels. Luckily, the iron farm over here is producing like crazy, so that's not an issue. Also, I didn't mention it, but between episodes, I did make a mob farm over there. It's the old basic one. This is just to get us started. We'll tear it down and make something that's, you know, better fitting to the area. But for now, I needed a way to just get some early mob drops like bone meal and string. So there you go, your good old-fashioned mob farm. I didn't even show it, I don't think, whatsoever. Maybe I'll show a time lapse that's like 3 seconds long. Ready, go. And there it is, mob farm. Anyway, let's get to work digging out some of this land and then building our starter house. The initial flattening is complete. It turns out using iron shovels was an absolute nightmare. So I just went and grinded a bunch of levels and enchanted a shovel because even if this one breaks because we don't have mending, it was still faster to get the levels, enchant the diamond shovel, and shovel it all up than it would have been to go through and dig this whole thing out with iron shovels. It was brutally slow. I guess you just forget after using high-level tools for a long time just how slow things can be with iron. But we got it done. We've got a shovel. Unfortunately, we got fortune, but again, we don't have mending or villager trades or anything, so it is what it is. We definitely don't want to dig any gravel with this thing or we're going to end up with like a million flint, but for just digging up some dirt, it worked fine. We've got all the materials. We've got the earth flattened and ready to rock. It's time to get this starter house built. Let's get to it. Our starter house for Season 3. We now have a place to call home in Season 3 of our Forever World. It's going to be so nice to get all of our items moved from our little hole under the tree up into our actual storage system here and start getting a little bit of organization. This is just the leftovers from the build, but eventually we'll label these and get them all organized. I still have this huge space here, which is pretty underutilized. I already built the little enchantment setup down there, but I think I might build one into the floor here. I don't know, I kind of have a vision all of a sudden for something countersunk in the floor. And I already said that I wasn't going to put my mine entrance here, so we'll have to figure something out there. But interiors for me, they take time. I have to be in the space a little bit, and I'll get like inspiration to do stuff. So I don't typically fully plan them out when I first do a build. So we've got a little smelt station here. I might actually move these up one level and automate them with some hoppers. And then this is just some, free storage. I'll probably keep my valuables here, diamonds, things like that. Like really special tools that are already enchanted. I like to keep in like areas like this near my bed, so that if we respawn, we have to grab some armor or grab some tools. They're all right there. Storage, obviously, that's a must. We have our infinite water source and a little well with our horse tied up right here. I will say I have absolutely loved riding around on a horse this season so far. If this has always been a thing in a Minecraft, I just didn't know about it, I guess. But when a horse is hooked up to a lead like this, to a fence post, you can get on the horse, grab the lead, and it never goes in your inventory, but you are actually holding it. And then when you get wherever you're going, you just right click again and it reattaches the lead. It's pretty handy. I also just been like carrying fence posts so that I can put tie-up spots everywhere. There's one down here I can get rid of now because we didn't have the well at the time. So I've just been keeping a fence post to tie up my horse rather than digging those horse holes everywhere that everyone does. So yeah, the outside of the house, it's pretty standard. We've got the like timber framed with the spruce wood, the circular window openings. I mean, I like the roof pattern. I decided to go with this like striped look. I wish I had done a little bit more with the roof shape, maybe. I could have made it a little bit more like mystical or a little bit more medieval, but I went pretty standard. It's supposed to be like a generic house in the town, so I wasn't trying to go too far. That is definitely upside down. But this is just the first of many builds that will be going in this area. And soon we're gonna have to tackle that big quarry, but that is gonna mean digging. Which means for the next episode, we need actual tools. I'm going to get all of my gear enchanted and ready to rock. And we're going to start excavating this area right here, and that's going to become where our quarry is. At least, that's what I'm thinking right now. There is one minor problem that we're running into, is that underneath this area is one of the largest cave systems in Minecraft I think I've ever seen. Let me see if I can safely... Actually, you know what? We'll go look from the mine entrance. So here we are going down the ladder underneath our little hole under the tree, and you'll see pretty quickly everything under this mountain is a giant open cavern, and this thing goes forever. It's one of the biggest ones I've ever seen. It goes hundreds of blocks that way, hundreds of blocks that way. There's some deep dark down there. I did get some slimes, which is how I got my leads. And yeah, it's all a mob farm right now. This whole place is super dangerous, so I just don't go in here, but yeah. When we're digging our quarry, we're definitely going to run into that cave. So we're actually going to have to build our quarry up from the ground rather than dig it out, which will be a little bit awkward, but it'll mean that we can shape it exactly how we want to shape it. Oh, I did finally get some blaze rods and get an ender chest. I haven't enchanted a pickaxe with silk touch, so we can't carry it yet, but we have the ender chest at least now. Step 2 for Season 3 is complete. We have a starter base, a place that we can put all of our stuff, keep it organized, and room for expansion. I'm excited to get going on this quarry, but that is all I have time for in this episode. If you made it this far, I appreciate you. Thanks for sticking around. Have a good one.